Sandy Grosvenor is the principal race officer for the SAP 505 World Championships here in Annapolis. Sandy is a world sailing certified judge, race officer, and umpire. Basically, Sandy's the best we have here in Annapolis, and that's why she's doing this event. Sandy, talk about this 505 championship, how it may be a little bit different from other world events that you've been involved with.
Well, I think one of the key things with the 505 class is that they do what we call, it's officially called a gate start, but informally we always call it a rabbit start. They're trying to get more politically proper about it. But anyway, the way this start works is instead of a fixed starting line where the boats are all jockeying for position, the race committee tries to see who's over the line early and who isn't. Instead, on this one, we have a port limit mark, and then a designated sailor goes at the start signal, starts that, and just goes close hauled on port tack as fast as they can.
Is that somebody who's actually competing in the championship?
Yes, it
is. You
is.
designate one rabbit?
Yep, it's the 10th place boat in the previous race. And
Okay,
they don't
that's
have any
interesting.
choice. They have to be the rabbit.
Right.
So they go along, and everybody else to start dips that rabbit, Pathfinder, excuse me.
Yes, that's what they call it, Pathfinder.
Dips the Pathfinder, and then we have a power boat that's also a guard boat that's protecting the Pathfinder. So they dip both of those, and they start. So you have one going off on close hauled, and everybody else getting this beautiful even start behind them.
Right.
And it completely eliminates what we call individual recalls in sailing, where somebody starts too early. It almost completely eliminates general recalls when too many boats are trying to start too early.
Right.
So it's something that the 505 class has used for years, and they just love it. So.
Well, I remember when the Star World Championships were here a few years back, and that was a problem, is that at one point they finally had to, say, what is it when you say that that's it? If you're over early, that
we put the black flag up.
Black flags, right.
Yeah, so the black flag of death. If you're over early, you are disqualified from that race. So this completely eliminates all of that.
And that's what they're trying to avoid. They're trying to avoid all the mess of recalls, general recalls over earlys, the whole nine.
Yeah, it avoids all of that.
Right. Was there anything you had to train your race committee with dealing with this? Because this is unique. Did you all have to kind of practice with this? And
Yep, we've been doing that for 3 years. We put the core of this race committee together for the North Americans a couple of years ago. We did the East Coast last year with the same core. One difference we do have is the gate driver, who's the guy who has to sit. He has to be a good enough boat handler to have his boat sitting about a meter right on the corner of the Pathfinder. So he's got to deal with Pathfinder's course changes and speed changes if the wind increases. So that Pathfinder, the driver of the gate launch boat, is a gentleman by the name of Pitt Pearson, who's a 30-year,
he's the president.
50-year veteran of the class. He just finished up his second, 10 or 15-year term as president of the class.
Right. He's now the president emeritus of the
so
International
he's been doing
505
this
class.
forever.
Legendary guy.
Yep.
So obviously we've had some challenges here this week. Sunday we got one race in, couldn't get a second. On Monday, just tried to get some racing going, but was not able to do so. Today looks good. It looks like we're going to try to do 3 races. We have breeze, but just kind of talk about your philosophy in approaching this, because you got sailors from all over the world, 12 countries, 89 boats. They want to go sailing, and there's this impulse to try to do a race just for get a race in. Just get a race in. Kind of tell me your thoughts.
So the class has championship guidelines that define how they want their regatta run, and the idea is that you do a world championship anywhere in the world, and those standards should be the same. It shouldn't be varying, and Annapolis does one thing, Weymouth does another.
Right.
So they have those guidelines, and on Saturday, the day before the championship, I sat down with Mike Quirk, the class president, and we reviewed all those guidelines. And
make sure you're on the same page.
The bottom line is quality races. Even if we get way behind, the class still wants quality races over quantity of races.
Right. They would rather have 5 good races than 10, and 4 of them were just terrible.
Exactly.
Right. Before we finish, we should highlight that this is an all-volunteer crew here of Race Committee. SSA, Severn Sailing Association, is partnering with Eastport Yacht Club. You're the principal race officer, but you are far from a one-woman show. You've got a lot of helpers, a lot of people. Kind of just maybe highlight a few of the others. We should give them a little shout-out because they're volunteering their time. As you mentioned, they devote 9-10 days to this event, because you got the pre-worlds and the worlds. It's quite an undertaking. It's quite a commitment. Mention a few of the folks that are helping you out.
Okay, well, starters, half of the race committee boats are privately owned boats with no charge to the regatta. So I'll go through the owners.
Right, their own gas, their own everything,
well, we do compensate for gas.
Right.
But, there's still wear and tear on it. But anyway, so on our single boat is Road Trip, which is owned by myself and my husband, Mark Murphy. He's the key operator of that this weekend.
Right.
On board that boat, we have our 2 deputy race officers who are my second in commands, Juliet Thompson and Sharon Hadsel.
Yep.
Our
Good
Weathermark.
people.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're all veterans. Our Weathermark boat is provided by SSA. The lead race officer on that is Steve Kling.
Okay.
And let's see. Next up is our Leeward Mark boat. Is owned by named Latitude. It is owned by Keith Jacobs and his wife Susan. And
Right.
Keith is
Who's the race
operating
committee chair at EYC?
and, yeah, he's the standing race chair at EYC. I'm the standing race chair at AYC. Steve Kling's been active with the race committee here at SSA, so it's an all-star cast.
It really
and
is.
Lastly, our finished boat is Aaron Bree, and that's owned by Greg and Vicki Shea. And
Okay.
Greg's the lead. Actually, Dan Crowell, a longtime EYC member, is the lead race officer on that. Greg will be driving the boat.
All right, well, people should know we have gathered our best race officers all in town. It doesn't matter what club affiliation, they've all come to help with this. Last but not least, you have a very interesting shirt on. I understand that shirt has brought us win today. Kind of tell us why the Hawaiian shirt today.
Well, both clubs have, both Eastport and SSA have a bit of a tradition of Hawaiian shirts. It started on the Eastport side with the Solomons race, which was
Okay.
always a race
Yeah, I
for the
remember that.
party.
Yep.
So the race committee started the Hawaiian shirt tradition there. And on the SSA side, we recently lost a long time dedicated volunteer, John Potter.
Right.
And John got the Tuesday evening series started here at SSA, and that has continued to be a core piece of SSA's racing. And he was always famous for wandering around in Hawaiian
That's right.
shirts.
Yep.
So we thought a little humor was appropriate. We get us out of the boring white and khaki and into some loud shirts, and hopefully it would draw wind.
Well, it seems to have worked. Thank you, Sandy.
You're welcome.